Okay, so if something is going on with your sleep, or if you're just not getting the sleep you need, then what do you do about it? The first thing, which I genuinely believe is doable for all of us, no matter how busy, is to simply get 20 extra minutes of sleep a day. If you think about it, there are 3 different ways to do this. You can either go to bed 20 minutes earlier and, in fact, get really religious about making sure you go to bed 20 minutes earlier, ideally after a wind down routine. And with a little luck, you'll fall asleep earlier and you'll tack that 20 minutes on to the beginning of your nocturnal sleep episode. The second way to do it, and this will work better if you're a night type or a night owl, is to sleep in 20 extra minutes. So tell me if this is you or somebody you know, if you set your alarm, but 90% of the time you snooze it at least once, maybe twice, what that means is you should get the 20 extra minutes on the back end, meaning in the morning. Don't set the alarm until you know you're really ready to wake up. So set it 20 minutes later than what you normally would and just let yourself sleep. It is much better to just let the brain stay locked in to a good sleep cycle rather than snoozing. So I know there's something delicious about hitting the snooze button. To be honest, I feel a little bit like a hypocrite for telling you this because I still do it sometimes. But when my life is busy, when I have a lot to do especially, and honestly, the best advice just in general is to not hit snooze. Just let your brain stay locked in if you know you're going to need that sleep. So those are the 2 first ways. The third one, and really this is the most powerful, is to get a daytime nap. Now, a couple of things here. Naps have to be in the afternoon, and by afternoon, I mean no later than 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, even starting to push it for most of us. Right around lunchtime is ideal. The reason for that is twofold. One, you have a little dip in your circadian rhythm right around midday that you can capitalize on to get a better nap and to increase the likelihood of you falling asleep. What doesn't count is falling asleep in front of the television at 7 or 8 at night. In that case, it's much better that you just get into bed and try to get to sleep a little bit earlier. The reason is because if you fall asleep in the late afternoon or evening, this can chip away at the natural sleep pressure that your brain builds that tells your brain and body to calm down and to go to sleep at night. So you need that buildup of sleep pressure to help you get into a nice, good, solid sleep. And if you fall asleep too late, you run the risk of depleting the pressure too early. So you don't want to sleep at any time outside of the afternoon. Even the morning can be okay, but it's best to aim to nap somewhere around midday. The other thing I want to tell you about naps is there's a lot of resistance around this. In a lot of different cultures, people almost feel guilty sometimes, like they're wasting time if they nap in the middle of the day. But again, that's not true, because if you take a power nap, you're going to regenerate your brain capacity and you're going to feel much more alert and alive. You will actually have more space to encode new memories. It's really one of the best things we can do. You know, here in the United States, we sleep in kindergarten, and I often think we never should have stopped. Or at least we should take a break in the middle of the day, which is the next best thing. But that nap is truly, for most people, the best way to get that extra 20 minutes of sleep. Because you want to go into just a very light stage of stage 2 sleep for those naps, because remember, you're keeping them very brief, no more than 20 minutes. It may be that is enough to jumpstart the memory consolidation process. And because you're quite literally transferring memories from the hippocampal system out to neocortex, when you nap, you're cleaning the cache, if you will. You're making space for new incoming information, and therefore you're more cognitively alert, you're more effective, and you're also less tired. So if this is possible for you, absolutely do it. Again, you want to keep that nap very short, 20 minutes. And when I say 20 minutes, I mean set your alarm for 20 minutes, because you do not want to sleep past that. And the more sleep deprived you are, the more likely you will sleep past it without an alarm. And if you do, you're going to most likely dive down into the deeper stages of sleep. And when you wake up from those, you will not feel refreshed. Your performance will not be benefited. In fact, you'll feel very groggy. We call that sleep inertia. But by keeping the nap short, you keep your brain in stage 2, which is very easy to awaken out of, but you still get the benefits we just talked about in terms of the neural systems being refreshed. Even some studies suggest 6 to 7 minutes of sleep, very light sleep, is enough to see these benefits. So anywhere really between just a few minutes and all the way up to 20 is great, but make sure you set your alarm. About 80% of people who tell me that they could never possibly do this because they're just not good nappers, if I have them lie down in the same place at roughly the same time on a regular basis, most people will start sleeping. So this is something that if you can, I encourage you to try. The alternative to a 20-minute nap is the 90-minute nap. 90 minutes is about how long it takes your brain to get all the way through an ultradian or REM cycle, right? Down into slow wave sleep, up into rapid eye movement sleep. So if you're really sleep deprived, let's say you've been traveling, let's say you're just exhausted and you know you have to do something to regroup, then on a day off, on the weekend, again, in the afternoon, devote about 90 minutes to napping and let yourself get through a full sleep cycle. I do this when I'm traveling abroad, when I'm dealing with circadian issues, when I'm just exhausted for some other reason and I know I have to be at my best. I prioritize my sleep like crazy, and I will often try to get this 90-minute nap during the afternoons because I know that I'm not getting enough sleep otherwise. So the 20-minute nap or the 90-minute nap, really anything that's in between 20 and 90, you run the risk again of falling into slow wave sleep, waking up out of it or after having a lot of it, and thus feeling groggy and not being able to perform at your best. So keep the naps short or go ahead and strive for about 90.